Could Ukraine soon fly the AH-1Z Viper attack helicopter? Well, Bell Textron is setting up a plant in Ukraine, and they don't do that for funsies. But wait, Wes, everyone said that drones made the attack helicopter obsolete. Well, let's just say the news of their demise has been greatly exaggerated.
Ninepence. I'm not dead. What? Nothing. Here's your ninepence. I'm not dead.
Attack helicopters can still fight, they just have to change roles. For the last 2 years, the defense commentary world has been writing the attack helicopter's obituary. Cheap drones find them, manpads shoot them, FPVs wait near their bases, mobile SAMs make low altitude a bad place to be. But Russia's Ka-52s survived best by firing standoff weapons from behind our own front lines, not by doing heroic low and slow stuff near the front. Ukraine uses helicopters as floating gun platforms to shoot down Shaheds. And then this month, the Czech Republic deployed AH-1Z Viper attack helicopters to Poland, specifically armed with APKWS precision-guided rockets, just to hunt Russian Shaheds violating NATO airspace, which is, by the way, the first operational foreign deployment of the Viper, happening right now, aimed at exactly the threat everyone said was killing the helicopter. So let's answer the question of whether Ukraine may be flying the Viper attack helicopter in the near future, and whether the attack helicopter is actually dead or still very much alive. Hey friends, I'm Wes O'Donnell, quasi-defense journalist, Army infantry veteran, Air Force veteran. I've swung an IR chem light on the end of 550 cord over my head to get a Black Hawk to land right on top of me. I have opinions about what helicopters can and can't do on the modern battlefield. Let's work through this carefully because the answer is more interesting than either side of the debate wants to admit. First, on April 17, 2026, Bell Textron announced the establishment of Bell Textron Ukraine, a subsidiary focused on helicopter assembly, maintenance, and repair. Then on June 1st, Phil Fikes, the director of Bell Textron Ukraine, sat down with Aeronaut and laid out the industrial vision in more detail. The platform family at the center of it is the H-1, specifically the AH-1Z Viper attack helicopter and the UH-1Y Venom utility helicopter, which share roughly 85% of their components, including engines, rotor systems, avionics, and maintenance procedures. And Bell didn't come to this cold. In October of 2025, the company signed letters of intent to explore cooperation with Ukraine, including the potential supply of both aircraft through the U.S. foreign military sales process. So here's the piece that actually matters, and it's not necessarily the aircraft. Ukraine has already learned the hard way that donated platforms without maintenance capacity becomes the equivalent of your neighbor's couch sitting in his front yard, except with rotor blades. What Bell wants to create is a sustainment hub concept, local assembly in Ukraine, line maintenance, depot-level repair, component overhaul, battle damage recovery, and technician certification, all in country, under combat pressure. For Ukraine, that's the difference between having helicopters and being able to keep helicopters flying. Those are not the same thing. Now, let's be fair to the skeptics, because they're not wrong about the threat picture. The classic Cold War attack helicopter mission was anti-armor ambush, close air support, and armed escort. The whole doctrine assumed you could hide low, pop up, fire, and disappear. Well, that world assumed a sky that wasn't saturated with drones watching every tree line and thermal cameras mounted on cheap quadcopters that cost less than a good rifle. Ukraine has made that mission profile genuinely brutal. FPV drones threaten helicopters at their own bases. Manpads and short-range air defenses turn low-altitude flight near the front into a very fast way to contribute to a crash investigation. Russian Ka-52s learned quickly that the survivable employment concept was standoff missile shots from range, not heroic approaches over contested ground. Any Ukrainian Viper force would need to operate under the same constraints or worse, because Ukraine's front line has Russian air defenses, manpads, electronic warfare, and drones watching everything that moves. There was even a recent story coming out of Colombia where a Colombian military Black Hawk helicopter got shot down by an FPV drone flying into its tail rotor. The drone threat is real for helicopters, but if the question is whether the AH-1Z can fly like it's 1991 over the Donbas, the answer is no. That mission is gone. But the death of one mission profile isn't the death of the platform, and that's where the analysis usually stops too early. So what can helicopters still do on a drone-infested battlefield? Well, Business Insider reported that a Ukrainian naval aviation helicopter crew destroyed 8 Shahed drones in a single day using airborne thermal cameras and door-mounted weapons. General Sirski stated that helicopters can sometimes account for up to 40% of Shahed kills in a given area. These are not edge cases. This is an emerging mission profile that helicopters are filling because they can do something ground-based systems often can't. Reposition quickly across terrain, maintain altitude advantage, chase drones that ascend before their terminal descent, and put eyes and guns on a problem within minutes of getting a call. A helicopter crew can operate a thermal camera, talk to ground radar, coordinate with interceptor drones, engage a low-altitude threat, and be somewhere else before the Russian drone operator can figure out what happened. No ground-based system moves like that. No loitering munition can be recalled, repositioned, and retasked on the fly by a 2-person crew making a real-time judgment call. The helicopter's strengths haven't disappeared. They've just found a different application. And NATO isn't theorizing about this, it's already doing it. In March 2026, the Czech Armed Forces deployed UH-1Y Venoms to Poland for counter-drone defense on NATO's eastern flank, the first operational foreign deployment of the type. Those helicopters were certified through NATO's TAC-EVAL standard and trained specifically in counter-UAS procedures, with Czech crews rotating into a mission profile focus on low-altitude airspace threats since September of 2025. And now, this month, June 2026, Czech AH-1Z Vipers began replacing the Venoms in that rotation. And the Vipers are armed with APKWS precision-guided rockets specifically for the Shahed threat. That is also the first operational foreign deployment of the Viper happening right now on NATO's eastern flank, hunting the same threat Ukraine lives with every single night. This is no longer theory, folks. This is a live experiment running one country over from Ukraine with the exact aircraft Bell is proposing to put into Ukrainian hands. So let's talk about what the Viper and the Venom could realistically offer Ukraine, because the answer isn't charge the front line like it's Apocalypse Now with better avionics. The Venom could patrol rear area corridors, power plants, ports, logistics hubs, and drone approach routes. It moves troops, it evacuates casualties, and it can plug into Ukraine's distributed sensor network as an airborne node with radios, thermals, and a crew that can make on-the-spot judgments. The Viper would provide armed overwatch, precision fires at standoff range with APKWS, rapid reaction to confirmed threats, and thermal search in darkness when Shahed swarms historically arrive. Together, a Viper Venom team gives Ukraine integrated helicopter pairs that are genuinely useful in rear areas and infrastructure defense without requiring anyone to fly low over a front line, bristling with everything trying to end them. And then there's that 85% parts commonality that I mentioned between those two platforms. That's huge. It means one spare parts supply chain, one training pipeline, one maintenance certification system. That's what makes the sustainment hub model viable, and viable sustainment is what separates a capable fleet from a parking lot with rotor blades. Now the honest part, because Ukraine operating Vipers next week is not what this story says. The missing pieces are still real. A formal procurement agreement, US government FMS approval, funding, pilot conversion training that takes around 7 months, maintainer certification, weapons packages, spare parts contracts, and a survivability concept that accounts for the fact that Russia's already experimenting with air-to-air missiles on drones to hunt patrolling helicopters. So, the Defense Post has noted that any procurement requires Washington's sign-off and that aircraft costs are substantial. Bell's hub is an industrial and a political foundation, but it's not a delivery timeline. Ukraine getting Vipers is now very plausible in a way it wasn't 18 months ago. Still, my crystal ball is telling me the first Viper deliveries are coming to Ukraine in late 2027. Now, I know that seems like a long way off, but it's going to get here faster than you think. I mean, can you believe it? It's already June of 2026. Time seems to be increasing in velocity. So let's name what's actually changing. The attack helicopter isn't obsolete. The helicopter that operates at standoff range with precision-guided weapons integrates with ground radar and drone sensor feeds, hunts low-altitude threats in rear areas, repositions before it can be targeted, and flies at night under thermal cover. Well, that helicopter has a real job in this war. It's just not the job that got written into Cold War doctrine. Ukraine won't be getting Vipers tomorrow. What Ukraine has now, if Bell in Washington and Kyiv can convert signatures into metal, is something that it hasn't had before. A credible Western attack helicopter pathway with a sustainment model attached. The Viper and the Venom won't bring back the helicopter war of the past. They might define the helicopter war that comes next. A war where attack aviation isn't the star of the show, but an integrated node, hunting drones over power stations, feeding targeting data into kill chains, talking to the Delta Battlefield app, repositioning faster than anything on the ground can follow, and somewhere in Russia, a drone operator is going to guide a Shahed toward a Ukrainian city and hear rotors overhead before it reaches the target. And he's going to find out that the aircraft that stopped him was a descendant of the same helicopter family that's been doing this since Vietnam. Some designs turn out to be more timeless than anyone expected. That is it for today, my friends. If you want to stay ahead of how this develops, hit subscribe. It's the best free way to support me. I'm tracking the Bell Textron Ukraine story, the Viper procurement question, and the broader helicopter in drone war doctrine question as they evolve, and for the longer analysis, the pieces that dig deeper than YouTube format allows, I'm over on Substack, QR codes on the screen, or just wesodonald.com. And as always, glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. Crimea is Ukraine.